see that nicely? Perfect. Okay, what I have up on the screen there is just a picture of this gold pan I have beside me. Welcome, gentlemen. Please be on time. Have a seat. Okay, in this gold pan, I have all the concentrates that I saved from Bear Creek the other day when we were up there gold panning. I did maybe 20 or 30 pans that day. I just saved the concentrates from it so I can show you what kind of things that you actually find in those heavies. Now, we call them heavies. Those are the things that are left behind after your panning in the bottom of your pan, the concentrates in the bottom of your pan. Hello.
I want me to come see you.
You're on a prep right now, and can you come and hang out for a bit? Sure, come on, hang out. Learn a little bit about gold mining. Okay, we call them heavies. Those are the things left in your pan after you've washed away all the light gravels. All the light gravels, the sands. We'll often call those your black sands in the bottom because most of your heavies are comprised of what you see here on the screen right now, just black sand. And remember what I called that black sand? The name I called it? It is iron. There's an actual name for the mineral. It's magnetite. The black sands in the bottom of your pan are actually comprised of two main minerals, magnetite and hematite. And they're both just forms of iron. They're actually forms of rust. They're iron oxide. It doesn't look like rust because it's black, but they're a form of iron oxide. So most of it's just iron. Yes, sir?
Does spelling matter?
No, spelling doesn't matter. Just get the concept down. Okay, so most of your heavies are going to be magnetite and hematite. They look the same. You can't really tell the difference. The biggest difference between magnetite and hematite is magnetite is magnetic. It can be pulled out with a magnet. We've done that before. Hematite isn't magnetic, typically. So if you take a magnet and wave it over your black sands, you'll see that half of it jumps up to the magnet, half of it doesn't. That's the difference between the magnetite and hematite. Iron. So that's the majority of the stuff. But we also find small amounts of other things in there. Let's move the pan around a little bit until we see something. There we go. Focus it. Focus. Okay. What do you see right there, guys? Peridot. Yes, you guys know that one already. There's one of your gemstones. There's your green gemstone, peridot. And we find peridot in McDougall Creek a lot over here. It's actually the mineral called olivine, but when olivine grows big enough crystals that you can actually make it into a gemstone, we then call it peridot. One of our types of gemstones. Now, I threw one in here that I didn't find in Bear Creek, just because I thought you guys might like to see it. What do you see beside it here? Let's move it over a bit. Zoom in a little bit on that one.
Blue peridot.
Is that the sapphire?
I hear it over here. There's a piece of sapphire. So another gemstone, a piece of sapphire there. It's not really great quality sapphire, but it is a sapphire. I know it's a sapphire because I bought it online as a sapphire. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of little sapphire chips here that you guys will get to play with when we start doing gem sieving later on. So that blue one there's a sapphire. See if I can find another little guy here somewhere. There we go. We'll bring it over for you. What do you see there? Ruby. No. This is a garnet. Okay, garnets are very common. Another focus here. See if we can get a better shot of it. Garnets are very common in almost all of our gold panning streams.
Would it be classified as a gem too or not?
It is classified as a gemstone as well. We call them a semi-precious gemstone. It's not like a diamond or a topaz or that. We call these things semi-precious gemstones. They are gemstones. And we find those very common. You'll find those in almost every creek. Garnet is a very common gemstone. You can get some creeks that are absolutely loaded in garnet. And I'll show you at some other time a picture of me, or a video of me up at Silver Creek behind Harrison Lake, where the sand is red. You walk on red sand because the sand is comprised of millions of garnets. It's really cool. Okay, let's move around and see what else we find in here. There's another peridot. Nice peridot crystal. Right there.
Are those the ones we were supposed to find in that creek? Yeah.
Yes, in McDougal Creek, you're supposed to find peridot. It's pretty common. Okay, you do find a lot of heavy garbage in the creeks, and it washes out in the heavies. Here is part of a fishing lure that was found in the bottom of the creek. You can see here I have a penny. I'm not sure if I'd call it penny garbage, but there's a penny that I panned out in the bottom of my pan. In Bear Creek, I've actually pulled probably about $4 or $5 worth of change out of the creek. And the reason is people swim in the pools up above. They lose change out of their pockets, and it washes down. It settles out right where gold would settle out because it's heavy. So I've actually pulled quite a bit of change out of Bear Creek itself. This guy over here. You guys all recognize that, right? Yeah, pellet from a pellet gun. And here's another pellet from a pellet gun that was fired into a rock.
That's lead.
Yes, pellets are lead, and it's a very common thing to find in your heavies is pieces of lead. Sometimes it'll come out as full pellets or bullets. Find lots of slugs out of bullets. Often you will find, oops, let's not put it on the penny, just shards. That's just a shard of lead. Probably a bullet that hit a rock and shattered into a whole bunch of pieces, and those pieces just got washed down the creek. So there's lots and lots of lead in our creeks, which is kind of sad because lead is a poisonous metal, and we are polluting our creeks with poisonous metals, unfortunately. Fishing weights is another common source of lead, and you find those all the time in creeks as well. Lots and lots of lead. I have a picture. I'm not sure if I have it on this computer. I'll look for it later. I have a picture of 1 day's worth of panning up at the waterfall on Bear Creek. And I had hundreds of pieces of lead in 1 day. I just found a pocket that was just loaded in lead. And because lead is really heavy, it settles out right where you want to find gold. So if you start seeing lead in your pan, you know you're on the right track for finding the gold. Okay, moving on. What else do we have here? Oh, more lead. Let's grab this over here. Where did I put that? Is it in the sign? Not shot. Nope. There we go. Grab another one of those. There's one over here. Oh, no, that's not one. Okay, this is a shotgun pellet. Lead shotgun pellet. You'll find both lead and steel shotgun pellets in the water. The lead stay around longer than the steel because the steel do rust and go away. But you do find these little round balls in your pan, which are shotgun pellets. Okay, let's just move. We're getting crowded. Let's move around. Back to our gemstones. I heard it out there. Pyrite. Iron pyrite. Could be chalcopyrite. I can't really tell from this. It could be either iron pyrite or a copper pyrite. But this is your typical fool's gold. It's gold in color. It tricks people because it looks like gold and it's heavy like gold. But the biggest difference here is it's not rounded. Gold in a creek like this would be rounded and smooth and hammered flat. Pyrite doesn't hammer flat. If you hit it hard with something like a hammer or a rock rolling in the creek, it shatters into pieces. It doesn't round over, it shatters. And that's one of the ways you test for fool's gold versus real gold, is you just put it on a rock and hit it with something. If it flattens out, it's gold. If it shatters into dust, it's fool's gold. There is another type of fool's gold. I don't have it in my pan because it doesn't wash out in your heavies. But there's another type of fool's gold called mica. But it's really, really light. It ends up being on the surface and washes away right away. Two different types of fool's gold, mica and pyrite. Pyrite will be in your heavies. Oh, here's another pellet. Nope. Bring it over, Mark, so you can see it. Okay, there's a steel pellet rather than a lead pellet. You'll notice steel pellets are black. Lead pellets will be whitish gray. What have I missed? What haven't I shown you in my heavies yet that you want to see? Gold, yes, we got lots of that in here too. I found quite a bit of gold that day. There's one of the little flakes of gold there. That cheered you up to see the gold? Can I zoom in more? This particular camera kind of gets a bit blurry when you get zoomed in too far. See if it'll focus. Right there. Nice flake of gold. Oh, and now I've moved everything. Okay, let's see if I can find another flake of gold. Let's get a second one in here. I see it, I just can't pick it up. Too much coffee this morning, I'm shaking. There you go, second little flake of gold. I see something on the image here, right down in the bottom corner there. See that little green speck? That's another piece of peridot, but it's a darker green peridot. It comes in sort of two versions, the peridot. And the dark green stuff is really pretty stuff. But it's just a small, small chunk of it. There you go. Move the whole thing. You can see it right there. Okay, let's see what else we see in here. See if I can get in the camera. Come on, where is it? There it is. Those three pieces of red-looking stuff, that's rusted iron. Again, iron's heavy, so it's going to be coming out in your pan, and that is just debris, garbage in the creek that's rusted, and it's been washed out. You can see here two little flecks of gold right beside it. Those are tiny, 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 tiny. And that there, I can't really tell because it's glaring too much. That looks just to be another piece of lead.
Do you have any silver?
Silver doesn't, you don't find much placer silver. And the reason behind that is a couple reasons. It doesn't form in nature as pure silver, like gold forms pure gold. It usually forms compounds, thing we call galena. So we don't often find pure silver out there. And when we do get pure silver, it slowly erodes away because it oxidizes. So it doesn't last in creeks forever like gold would. I didn't even realize it, but I have a little tiny topaz in this pan. It's not necessarily topaz. It could be another gemstone called zircon. Can't really tell the two apart when they're tiny, tiny, tiny like this. But it's a yellow gemstone. Mission Creek has lots of topaz in it. It's hidden in the light? This big blob right here?
Did you just put something down beside it?
No, I was just pointing to it.
Oh.
This is it here. The big yellow thing you see on the screen. That's the topaz. Okay, move around a bit. Oh, what's it? Yep, another gemstone topaz. What do you see there, guys? The two yellow things in the middle of the screen? It is gold, yes. Two little specks of gold there.
The light was making it.
What do you see there, guys?
Not peridot.
Why not peridot? It's green gemstones. There's two more pieces of peridot. It's a trick question. I like to trick you guys. Okay, I'm going to just shake it all down in one corner here, and I see if I can reveal the gold on one side. Can't see. There's no light here.
Oh, that's not funny. You put cheese in cheese.
I put cheese in the pan, yes. Okay, there's a few more pieces of gold. If I took some time here to actually separate out all the gold, you'll see there's about 20 pieces of gold in this pan. In the dark here, I'm having a hard time even seeing it, but I'll see if I get it all in one spot for you guys. And it's not all there, but you get a better idea. If I can find where it is in the pan. There we go. One more time focusing. Okay, here's something that you wanna notice. Guys at the back paying attention? Okay, those are all pieces of gold. But two of them look, well, actually 4 of them look very different from the rest. Okay, these 2 pieces up here. This one here, it's hard to see because I'm focused in so much, but you see how it's yellow in one corner and then turns white on the other?
That's from like stuff. Isn't that from like Fraser Valley?
Yeah, you got the right idea. This is actually at a Bear Creek, but these 2 pieces here, this one and that guy there, they're gold that's coated in mercury. Now, mercury, again, a heavy metal. It's another contaminant that we have put in these creeks. It's from old-time miners. They used to use mercury to separate gold, and they let a lot of it go into the creeks. It's a poisonous metal again. It's an awful thing to have in the creeks. But one neat property of mercury is it sticks to gold very easily. So these pieces of gold here have been covered in mercury. It's not something we want in our creeks at all. It's awful for wildlife. It's awful for the environment. It's terrible stuff. But it's in the creeks from old-time miners and coated on some of our gold. Yes, when I was mining on the Fraser, I was getting actual liquid balls of mercury floating around in my pan. And as it floated over the gold, it would catch onto the gold and just hold it there. Terrible, terrible stuff. Okay, I don't think I've missed too much that you find in those heavies there. Something that I don't have to show you is silver nuggets, like you asked earlier, or copper nuggets. They're another thing that sometimes you do find, but not too often. Pretty much any metal that is in the creek from man-made stuff will settle out here. I don't know if you would get aluminum or not because it's pretty light. But most of the other metals, if you found brass from like a fishing lure or something like that, it would settle out in here. Any of the typical metals would. Most of our gemstones are heavy. Not all, but most of them are heavy, so they'll settle out in here. Obviously lead, like we talked about, lead and mercury. Pyrites, iron pyrite, chalcopyrite. Chalcopyrite's a way of saying copper pyrite. Magnetite and hematite. Oh, there's something I didn't put in here. I should have. I'll quickly go grab some and show you.
Okay.
Typically, there's sort of a rule of thumb with different minerals. The darker they are, the heavier they are. The lighter they are in color, the lighter they are in weight. There's a couple of exceptions, like gemstones can be bright colors, but are still heavy. And then there's this rock right here. Usually you don't find it as rocks. Usually you find it as a powder in your pan. Come on, get in the... And I have a whole little cup full of this stuff here. This is called scheelite. Now, scheelite is an ore of tungsten, so it's actually a metal, but it's in its mineral form, so it looks like a little white rock. Some creeks you go to when you're panning out, you will get your heavies, and then you'll get a little line of white sand in the back. That white sand is the scheelite stuff, which is a tungsten ore. One of the mines I frequent is loaded in this scheelite stuff. So when you finally get your pan down to the bottom, you have a distinct line of black with the iron, and then a distinct line of white, which is unusual because typically our heavies are black and dark. Any questions about the heavies? Okay, one last term for you to remember. We talk about our heavies as being the heavy stuff that's left in the pan when we're done. But miners have another term for the lightest material, the stuff that goes away first. And they call those their blondes. Blondes, like light hair color, blonde. Well, the rock that is really light is usually a light color, so a blonde color. So they do call the lights blondes. The blondes wash off first when you're mining. They don't stay behind like this. But I do want you to remember that term for the light material in your plan is called blondes. The heavy, heavy, heavy stuff that's left at the bottom is called your heavies. Heavies and blondes. And I do want you guys to remember a good number of those things that we find in our heavies. All right? I want you guys to go play with your heavies from last day and see what you can find in them.